I got it.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. Now we're moving to the main attraction today, our presentation. And I'm very happy to present you with all of this. Grand Traverse Band's tribal chairman, David Arroyo, was born in Grand Rapids. His family moved to Leelanau over 30 years ago. He graduated from Northport Public Schools, and he and his wife and 4 kids now live in Suttons Bay. Chairman Arroyo was first elected to the Tribal Council in 2004, and he served 3 terms on the council. Prior to that, he was an employee for the tribe's Economic Development Corporation, and he's worked at the Bingo Palace, the Leelanau Sands, and the Turtle Creek Casino over the years in all kinds of different roles. So he knows a lot of the tribal operations kind of from the ground up. He became the tribal chairman of the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians late last summer. And today he'll be joined by his colleague and good friend, John Petoskey, who is also a member of and a longtime legal counsel for the Grand Traverse Band. John is a graduate of Western Michigan and the University of New Mexico Law School, and he's pursued his JD and a Master of Science in Environmental Justice and Policy at the University of Michigan. And he lives in Suttons Bay. So Ani, Chairman David and Mr. Petoskey, please take it away. Thank you.
Ani Kinawea, Miigwech. Hello, everyone. And thank you for the invite. A lot of pressure to be called the main attraction or whatever how you described it. But depending on where this goes, I know there were 3 topics. I guess I should let Mr. Petoskey introduce himself now. John is on. Are you there, John?
I am. I want to make one clarification. I don't have a degree from University of Michigan. That is my son. He's a graduate of University of Michigan Law School, and he has a master's in environmental science from the University of Michigan. And he works for the Science or the Environmental Policy and Law Center in Chicago and works on Line 3 with the tribes in Wisconsin. And he's participated in Line 5 in some capacity. I'm not certain which, but we have the same name, so I'm on his coattails.
Good. Well, thanks, John. I know that there were 3 topics of interest, but I don't know if our time would be better served if this were an FAQ. And I thought it'd be a great idea to have John Petoskey on. He has a encyclopedia-like knowledge of tribal history and different aspects of Indian country more so than I do. But I'll be happy to answer any questions. I know the first item was Earth Day. And in my household, personally, we try to have a low carbon minimal imprint if it's possible. We've been recycling for years, and from a tribal operations, whether it's government or one of our business entities, we do try to have a minimal impact on the environment as well. I know there may be budgetary constraints that keep us from moving more so in a direction to be totally environmental friendly, but we do strive to do that. As far as the American Rescue Plan, when you look at the history, the federal government, the United States government has a federal trust responsibility to tribal nations. So the American Rescue Plan funds really is just an extension or a result of that arrangement. And we are very appreciative and grateful for any assistance we receive. And once the money is distributed, is allocated, and over the past few weeks, we've gone through a series of consultations. And so hopefully within the next 2 months, the funding will be distributed, and we have plans to utilize that in the areas that have the specification. Deb Holland, what a great thing to happen. As she's made mention in her opening statements, and then repeatedly when questioned, I didn't watch both of the hearings. I did have it on in the background. We did have meetings scheduled. I'm confident she'll represent every citizen, not just the indigenous population, but one thing I'm looking forward to, and this is in regards to the Biden administration as well, much like the Obama administration. I think most of us were hopeful. Obama had the resistance, and I'm sure there'll be challenges with that Biden will face as well too. But to finally have an administration who will hopefully reverse some of the things that the past administration did. So as far as Deb Holland, we're very optimistic about that appointment and Biden as well. I don't know if there are any specific questions, but I just want to say real quick, Mr. Olson, that was a great presentation, concise and right on point. But if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But I thought having John participate, wasn't using him as a walking, talking human shield or anything, but to answer any questions, John's here, and I'll be happy to answer questions too, if there are any.
I just wanted to add on the Earth Day discussion. Grand Traverse Band has participated in Line 5. We have had a long-term relationship with an attorney in Ann Arbor named Riaz Kanji, and he has litigated in support of Line 5. Right now, we are funding experts. The experts that are in the litigation are primarily from the Enbridge side. And because the state Republicans control the expert funds for the Attorney General, they've been somewhat hobbled in providing expert testimony in opposition to Line 5. So Grand Traverse Band is participating through Riaz Kanji, representing the interests of the tribe, to provide expert testimony in that litigation.
If I may, John, first of all, I wanted to let everybody know the Grand Traverse Band has been the leading tribe in Michigan on this. They were involved early on, and the other tribes are engaged. There are many organizations engaged. We have a regular meeting with Riaz and myself and a team of lawyers from very effective organizations, including Earth Justice, who represents other bands. What John is saying is it is absolutely crucial that funds be raised for expert witnesses. He made the point, and I should have said something about that. There are efforts to create a fund. So stand by and we'll let you know. But John, thanks for bringing that up.
The other two issues that were brought up was the Deb Holland and the American Rescue Plan Act. Deb Holland, just for political information, is from Laguna Pueblo in New Mexico. She participated in Bears Ears in supporting the Utes and Navajos that were in opposition to Congressman Bishop's reduction of Bears Ears through executive orders. That has been reversed under Biden. Escalante staircase has also been reversed under Biden. So, and she participated in those. She also participated in the North Dakota Standing Rock. So her orientation is she's very oriented towards representing environmental concerns, and I really look forward to her participation. I want to bring up some other notes. Brian Newland, who was the former chair of Grand Traverse or of Bay Mills, I'm sorry, David, the former chair of Bay Mills, is going to be the Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs. His appointment is pending. Brian has been very vocal and has written some editorials against Line 5. Unfortunately, because the way the federal government works, he will have to be recused from that, but that's an indication of the type of folks that Biden is putting in with Holland and Brian Newland. In addition, there's another individual that is going to be the secretary, the solicitor of the secretary for the Department of the Interior. His name is Robert Anderson. He previously worked in the solicitor's office through the Obama administration. He was also a professor at Harvard Law School. He's also of counsel in Riaz Kanji's law firm. He's a very, very bright individual. He's a Minnesota Chippewa, and he's publishes a textbook on federal Indian law. And his appointment is pending to be the chief solicitor of Indian Affairs, not Indian Affairs, but the solicitor of the whole department. So the department covers a big area that impacts Indian tribes. In addition, in the American Rescue Plan Act, there's a person named Libby Washburn, who works in the White House Office of Indian Affairs, which is a resurrection of office that Obama had. And she is very detailed oriented. Her husband is Kevin Washburn, who is a very well-known litigator and the former Assistant Secretary of Indian Affairs in the Obama administration. The Obama administration had 180 degrees difference in the Trump administration. They promoted Indian self-determination, self-governance. They promoted land going into trust. They took positions that were beneficial to the tribes in their opposition to resource development. Biden seems to be following that same process. The people he's appointing, the people that he is involving in the Indian Affairs Administration are all not holdovers from Obama, but come from that same cloth, particularly Deb Holland. Deb is also one of the few congressional freshmen that had a legislation passed successfully in a complex area. So, and she's very, although her politics tend towards the left and development and protecting the earth and promoting Indian tribes, she is also very articulate and solicitous to Republicans. Don Young, who is a congressman from Alaska, was the one in a Republican, who's the longest serving Republican in the Congress now, supported her. And also she's had a very good relationship with Congressman Bishop, who is now out of office. He was in Utah, which is really saying a lot because Congressman Bishop was extremely anti-Indian. So she has the political skills to work with Republicans. With regard to our representative, Congressman Bergman, obviously the tribe, and I would assume the Benzie Democrats were disappointed at his position with regard to voting against certification, but that's 120 congressional people that voted against certification. The tribe has worked with Bergman in the past, and we would work with Bergman in the future, but as a practical political matter, it's my understanding that the Democrats are not going to allow Republicans to do anything in Congress. So as the tribe, Grand Traverse Band, is trying to focus its efforts towards Congressman Kildee. He is the nephew of Dale Kildee. Dale Kildee was the principal legislator that enacted a 1994 statute that recognized 4 other tribes, and he was in Michigan, and he's been very active in Indian affairs. He's retired, but we want to establish a relationship with Congressman Kildee, because those relationships are very useful in implementing the American Rescue Plan Act. That is also connected to the Congressional Consolidated Appropriations, the CCA, and also connected to the Corona Relief Fund from last year. All of those 3 statutes have authorized significant resources as a result of the pandemic. And the tribe is basically trying to stay ahead of that process so that we can access it and implement it to the fullest extent that the legislation has provided. I think that's all I had. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
There are some questions that have come through in the chat. One of them from Gerard Grabowski is the Grand Traverse Band working with other agencies in Northern Michigan to bring broadband to our region?
Yes, their broadband has funding in several different areas. The tribe has put in cables or underground cables throughout Leelanau County, and we're coordinating with the local units of government here to bring in the glass fiber to increase the speed. And we will obviously, there's grants that are available, but they all have to be tied to the corona impacts. But we anticipate working in that area significantly.
Great. I think there's also a question. Somebody had their hand up, Annie Browning.
Yep. Okay. You guys, my passion is building community. And so because there's a significant portion of people in Benzie County who are part of our community, I would love to know like how I or people like me can support the Indigenous people of this area. If there's anything we can advocate for.
Miigwech, depending on what the issue may be, I think it's helpful just to reach out to us, communicate. Our contact information is on our website, but I think it's important, once we get to know each other, they can establish that open line of communication so that we can, figure out what the next best steps would be depending on what is happening. But that does mean a lot to us, knowing that there are people who have the same interest and desire to stand alongside us, and the feeling and sentiment is mutual. If there's anything we can ever do to support and be there for any issues you guys may have, believe in. So I guess hope that answers the question.
Well, so
I think it does. Go ahead.
Thank you, Annie. I have a follow-up to that, which is that I know the band has a satellite office or a place in Benzie County. And when I called there to try to get a hold of you all, they just sent me straight to you. So I'm wondering what is involved? What does the satellite office do? And should we be in contact with the satellite office in Benzie County?
The satellite office, I don't want to say it has its limitations, but that's exactly what it is. It's for limited services. It's there for outreach. So I think if you have an interest, maybe next time just ask for the main switchboard, and you can be connected to the main switchboard and be directed to whatever department or person you may want to contact. Or the main switchboard can have offer assistance. In the chat, I put our website. It's gtbindians.org. We typically keep it updated, but you can find most of the contact information there. Be a good place to start.
Great. And somebody asks more specifically about how might the American Rescue Plan funding be used. I would add to that, I know that there's funds for housing and also for language. So I'm wondering if you see particular uses for that locally.
John may have there are certain areas where those monies will be utilized. I'm not too certain. I know it was housing, health, and there was some potential language revitalization. We'll try to use, obviously when you have money that's specified for a certain area, we'll put it to that use. But as of now, I don't have the specifics as to what categories there may be, but that person said it, it's health, housing, and there is some money allocated for language revitalization. And I hope we're able to, I do hope we can focus on the language utilization as well as housing and health. So yeah, whatever the money has been designated for, we'll definitely use it for that purpose.
That's great. Mary Roebling has a question.
Anything to add real quick? Sorry, anything to add, John? about that?
Oh, no, it's just that the American Rescue Plan Act has several provisions in it. It's a massive bill. You can go on it and put it on PDF, and you can search it through tribal or Indian, and it comes up with about 80 to 200 references. But the principal references are the funding through the BIA under its statutory authority, which is called the Snyder Act, which lays out health, education, and welfare as the general categories in which the BIA is authorized to expend money. And so the American Rescue Plan Act utilized the existing statutory structure. And when David said consultations, what Treasury and the BIA are doing are holding comprehensive meetings with tribes across the country through Zoom meetings in which they solicit the process of dividing up the money between the tribes. And because Indian country is so diverse in its history and its geography, that process has taken up quite a bit of time and advocacy by various different tribal interests. And so that distribution is going to be this year, but we don't have a good handle on the distribution until the Interior selects the method for the division based upon the consultations. But principally, it's going to be two parts. One would be a pro rata distribution, and then one would be competitive grants. And so that's what's part of the issue right now. And in addition, there are other federal funding streams through the Department of Agriculture, through the Department of Commerce, that allow the tribes to participate in general federal appropriations, which specifically include them now. What the tribes are actually trying to do is to say that we shouldn't have to go to Interior or go through the appropriation process every year to get funding for the tribes, that there should be a continual funding basis. And really that's the big push that the majority of the tribes are trying to establish.
Great. Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, John, actually that, and David too, that sort of leans into what I was thinking. When you all have been describing your relationship to the different administrations, it seems somewhat precarious to me. And I hate that for you. Is there any way to make it less? It seems like with one group, there's life or potential or possibility. And now the way our country has become so partisan with the other group, it's kind of cut you off at the knees, but there should be some stabilizing center path that we can take that will give you give the communities more stability. And I've been involved with the tribe here and in Oklahoma, and I know it's always a problem, but it just seems outrageous right now. And I don't know, you all are so articulate, but I don't know where that center path, how to find that center path where you could be free of the whims of whatever administration is in power, including our own.
Well, if I could suspend my chairman title, I would say expand that defund project you guys have going and elect good people, right? That would be where to start. I'm kidding. I'm just joking. But no, I think
Yeah.
to answer your question, it really, it's who's in office, I think, and, you just hope that people are honest and will, uphold existing laws and policies. And I think the problem is you just have people who are not honest and, they have those prejudices and those, no one's perfect, but I think that's where you start with the elected official, the people who are there to uphold and carry out those laws. It's frustrating to have to deal with that, but it's become the norm. And John, he has more time here than I have, but in just my experience, that's what's frustrating. You may have existing laws and just the ability for a majority to ignore and not follow through on things. I think with Obama, I was excited. I am with Biden, and with Holland. I mean, we talked about this a short time ago, but now to finally have people who I believe will stand behind those laws and existing policies, that I'm hoping that now we can move forward and just be. I think what's exciting with Obama and Biden, his cabinet is looking more like this country, right? I mean, it's not
Right.
it's not a fraternity or a sorority. It's like finally a good mix of who we are as a people. So that's where I think you start with elections.
Aubrey,
John,
has a question.
Yeah, so I know that in the fall, Sutton's Bay started a new curriculum that includes Native American history and culture also. And I just didn't know, and that you guys partnered with them on that. And I'm wondering if there are plans to expand that into other schools and potentially into, Benzie and Frankfurt schools out here specifically, but in general.
I would hope eventually. I haven't